Live. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my podcast for the World Cup called the Winter Wonder Cup.
Winter Wonder Cup for sure.
Here's your host, Ruben, and my guest here, Christian. Thank you, Christian, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, and I appreciate you.
We're going to go over the first match of the World Cup of 2022 that is held in Qatar this time around. The last World Cup was in 2018, and our winners and current winners are France. Um, Qatar being the host of the World Cup, they will be playing the first game, which is also known as the inauguration game. And it'll be the team they're playing with is Ecuador, and it'll be their first time opening a World Cup as well. Fun fact: I am from Ecuador, and so is Christian.
Yeah.
And as you see his shirt, he's also from Christian. I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, thank you, man. Thanks, Ruben. I'm Christian. I from the Shaolin, Staten Island, but half Ecuadorian, like Ruben said, half Argentinian. What a mix. It's followed me my whole life, but like Ruben, I'm a big fan of soccer, and it's a great privilege to watch these games and be part of it, and the emotion of that goes with it. No question about that. I've been watching since '94, so I'm a huge fan, huge historian. Love the game, love the tournament. So I'm really excited, and the fact that Ecuador is hosting it is a real honor and privilege, like I had mentioned, and for me especially, I'm sure you feel the same way. It's incredible to host it. To be there is one thing, and to host it is a completely different thing.
Yeah, to be in that match, that opening match, there's been a few speculations with it recently. We'll definitely go into that
Of course.
in this podcast. With Qatar, being the nation that's hosting this World Cup, there's been a few things that we'll go into later on in the podcast. We'll start off, as I mentioned to Christian, with the squads, and we'll start off with Qatar. Qatar, as some of you may know, is a national team that is not well known. Their ranking in FIFA is not as high as maybe Germany, or Argentina, France. Once again, our current champions, um, England, Brazil, teams that have won the World Cup. Qatar is fairly new. This will definitely be their first World Cup, their first official World Cup for the Qatar national team. However, going in as hosts, they do have that pressure to at least make it out of the group phase. They are in Group A with the following teams: Ecuador, Senegal, and Netherlands. Um, it's definitely a group that what can you say, Christian? Right?
Well, of course, Netherlands is the orange machine, right? They've been the pinnacle of soccer. You can't deny that. Of course, they are the pinnacle. They went to the finals a few times. They're just like that lose. They're that winner, but they can never win the big one, right? And they want to have this enormous chip on their shoulder. And they're also, for me myself, I'm also a New Yorker, right? So I'm a Knicks fan. The Northern people came to New York, right? And that's how come the Knicks are the Knicks, right? Orange, the whole thing. It's same thing. It just so happens that connection is the same. The Knicks have been good at times, and they can never win the big one, at least not multiple times. And same thing for the Netherlands. They go and they can never win the big one. However, because of that, they're still very, very, very top heavy. And to me, the favorite of this group, despite, if I'm being realistic. That being said, though, you never know with them. They can be beat because they just have that luck. All of a sudden, they're up 1-0, about to win the game, it gets tied, and so even though they are top heavy in this group, and my favorite coming out of the group, I still would just because of their history. I would be careful with that, as well as the fact that Ecuador, I think, is an upcoming team, and we have a situation where it can anything can happen.
Anything. Yeah, no, it's definitely a huge stage to showcase your talent, young talent, experienced talent, especially that young talent, where they could showcase themselves. They can show clubs, potential bidders, hey, listen, this is what I have to offer. If you give me a contract, this is what I'll be doing potentially for your club. And you've seen, like, after the World Cup, a few big signings have happened. For example, with James Rodriguez in
Right,
2014,
2014,
he went over to Real
2014.
Madrid.
Yeah,
Uh,
no question, no question. I mean, the talent, but you could also say that about any team, even the great teams.
yes,
All of a sudden, you have some young hot stud that was a young kid in one of the leagues in their country, and all of a sudden he becomes a superstar or close to it. I've seen that happen many times. So uh, I don't expect anything different from teams like Netherlands or even Ecuador.
yeah,
Um, and as well as Senegal. Those guys can play. Those guys can play. So it's a real tough group. I think they're evenly matched. Qatar being the fact that it's their home. I've always felt in World Cups they always home teams get a little more home cooking. That's always kind of been the sentiment for me.
home field
Whether
advantage, you think?
always except for us in 1994, the US went in 94, we didn't do anything, right? So but in 98, France, even though they became champs, Japan got a little home cooked. Japan, Korea in 2002.
True.
Germany's Germany, but still the same thing. So you can see the trend. Russia in 2018 as well. I felt like they got some home cooking as well. Not saying that they're going to do anything special. I think it's a small country. I don't think that there's a lot going on there as far as talent. But that being said, it can persuade certain things, unfortunately. But I think the top from these the two top ones here in this group for me, Netherlands, Ecuador, and I think going back with this first game that we're going to have on Sunday, I believe that Ecuador will showcase that. They might not win the game; it might be a tie, but I think that would be enormous going forward in this particular game. But of course, we'll talk a little more about that game as we go along.
Yes. So with the Qatar squad, introducing them, we have like we said, young talent. We have the forward Alo Mays Ali, 26 years old, recent 2019 AFC champion. That's the Asia football champion for,
Right.
for all the Asian teams, and then he has 42 goals in 85 appearances. So just that stat right there alone puts him at the top for his nation, which is
Mhm.
Qatar, right?
Right.
He's been
And
with
he's the young 25, 26 years old.
26-year old, yeah.
26, right? Man. Yeah. Yeah.
With that talent, with that uh, goal tally that he has, and that confidence, in the box, outside the box, just being able to get the ball behind the net is just something that a strike as a striker, as a forward, you want to be able to have that mindset, at all times. And I feel like him in that position, him being called up to the squad, they're definitely looking for that, and he's gonna look for goals, um, hopefully for every game. Next, we have the defender that I want to introduce as well. His name is actually Pedro Miguel, known as Roro by the Qatar team and the Qatar football national team. He is 32 years old, originally from Portugal. Uh,
Hmm. Well, with
uh,
a name like that, right? I said,
Pedro Miguel, yeah, originally from
yeah,
Portugal. He actually went to play in Qatar, and ended up becoming nationalized, and now is part of the national team for Qatar.
nice.
Um, as a defender, he has 80 appearances and only one goal. To get a goal as a defender is big, because you're definitely not having that many chances.
What the question here I had, has he been picked up by a big team yet?
No, he plays for a Qatar team.
For a guitar team, correct, right?
Qatar.
So see, going back to what we were talking about, see someone like this guy, right? You have guitar, he's playing on guitar, he's someone like him can make an impact, right? and all of a sudden go to be signed by a big club. So these are the kind of guys you got to look out for. Well, this is one of them. So I would definitely put a star on that. Considering even though he's a little older, I still consider that check that out kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? He get like a 1 2 year contract for like a team that needs a defender,
No
and
question, no question. And those one of those big market clubs like in Germany or whomever.
or England
Or
or
England, right, right. England loves those guys, so
they love them.
love those dudes.
Next, we have introducing the forward Akram Afif. He is also 26, 26 goals and 89 appearances. Again, a great stat. Part of the same club, Al Sadd. Um, Again, a young talent. He has a mindset of scoring with 26 goals and 89 appearances. He has a confidence, the awareness in the box. Um, Again, whether they fall under pressure is really going to be shown and showcased. Like, whether they rise above the occasion or fall under pressure is going to be shown in the game. But
No,
for now, on paper, like these forwards that were selected, they look like they're going to do and play great.
yeah, I did a little research on him. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's number 11.
Yes.
Number 11. Yeah, they don't give you a number 11 for no reason, right?
Yeah.
So that's always something on. Once again, you got to check that out. Again, I mean, these guys aren't at the elite level of what you're expecting. However, they can make an impact in a tournament like this. So when you have that kind of guy with number 11, you got to look out for him. 26 years old. I think his birthday just passed, or is coming. Either way, but he, no question, he's someone you have to circle and definitely look out for.
Especially with Ecuador's defenders and the goalkeeper, they definitely want to keep an eye out for him, make sure that he doesn't create space or have space to be able to score.
Yeah, well, yeah, danger. Danger in that box. Definitely keep an eye out for that guy.
Next, we have Hassan Al Hades, also playing for Al Sadd, a club team in Qatar.
Out to you, Ruben. You got the pronunciation down pretty good. I could never do that. You got the Assads and that's difficult to do. I'll be botching
Thank
that
you.
up all the time. So
Thank you. Thank you.
shout out, man. Shout out to you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. He's a little more experienced, 31 years old, 36 goals and 169 appearances. So he has a few more caps under his belt. Again, age, experience. He has scored some goals here and there, and again, he also was part of the championship team from 2019. So with that forward, again, what he can do is provide his experience to the younger players and help them out in the field. Providing the ball, maybe a through ball, maybe a lob pass to eventually make the goal.
Sure. I mean, he's one of those guys I think you just put in, and you always need leadership on these kind of teams. Veteran leadership. He's definitely one of those guys. Once again, not at the elite level that we're accustomed to, but still, that's their guy. For them, that's their guy. Definitely something you want to have on your team. Any team, not even just World Cup teams. It's just any team. You always want that old elder statesman. Elder statesman, and because they're not old, you want that older statesman. I think people talk about me like that sometimes now. Like, oh, he's the older guy. Go talk to him about certain things.
He knows things.
He knows what he's talking about. He might not, he might not be the hot talent like Ruben here, but he's certainly you always need that guy, that guy that's been there and done that. So I think he'll be a tremendous benefit for the club.
For sure. And again, he plays for Al Sadd. So reason why I mentioned Al Sadd is a fun fact. Xavi, the current coach for Barcelona of Spain, coached the Al Sadd team and took them to win the league for Qatar. So these players that are playing in this Qatar team have that mindset, of winning, that structure that Xavi left there in those 1 to 2 years that he coached there, when he was coaching in Qatar from 2019 to 2021.
Yeah.
So they have an upbringing, they have some sort of football that's different from just Qatar football, which again, it's going to be exciting and interesting to see what the Qatar football team showcases. Is it
Of course.
aerial? Are they an aerial threat? Are they a team that lobs? Are they a team that crosses? How are they going to play out their games? You know,
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't recall the coach that they have here for this Qatar team. Um,
it's going to be Felix Sanchez. He's a
Felix
Spanish
Sanchez
coach as well. So again, that Spanish football mentality is instilled in this
is
team.
instilled in this team. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how they all of them together kind of fit the mold with the style. Um, Once again, I keep going back to it, and I probably sound like a broken record with the kind of talent that's around. But for this particular game, it definitely could help them. Um, in my opinion, I think Ecuador is a little bit more ahead of them in the curb, and of course, we'll get into that when you talk about the los ecuatorianos, right? The Ecuadorian players, los ñaños. Yeah,
Yes.
so
Shout out to the Ecuadorian national team. Congratulations to the federation, to all the
absolutely,
players, the coaches, the
absolutely.
administrative team, and shout out to all the Ecuadorians. You know, like that definitely proud and happy that we're a team that is in the World Cup, and I hope we showcase our talent every time we've gone. We've at least made it past the group, you know, and
Yes.
that's something that we hold dear to us, and hopefully we can make it a little farther this time, you know. But again,
I hope so. I hope so. I, your words to the football god's ears.
but yes, so let's go ahead and introduce the Ecuador team.
Let's do it.
With Ecuadorian football, we also have our own league. The football league of Ecuador. Most of the players are from those leagues. They are playing in those leagues currently. There are some players who do go to Europe, who do go to Mexico, the U.S. Um, Introducing a few players from Ecuador, starting with our veteran and experienced player, Ener Valencia, our forward at 33 years old, with 35 goals and 74 appearances, has been with the team since 2012, and this is his second World Cup. So once again, I bring back that
Second
experience
World
and
Cup.
that leadership that he can provide for the young
Yeah,
members.
he's definitely. I mean, he was there for the 2014,
2014.
correct? 2014. I remember him playing. The only I had a little criticism in that first game that we lost, if I'm not mistaken, was Denmark. Was it
Denmark.
Denmark? Denmark, right? Well, we lost 2-1. Um, it I hope that his experience with that would kind of shape this this football club, I should say. Uh,
And with missing the 2018 World Cup, you know, like
No question, no question. I think there's definitely room for growth. He's our guy. He's our guy, right? And you can say that the elder statesman again, but certainly someone you definitely look up to, and I think can help them. And I think you'll see that a lot on Sunday when they showcase the game.
definitely. Then next we have the youngster with 24 years old, Estupinan Pervis. He plays in Brighton over at England. Again, Brighton is one of those clubs that is having a great run right now to start off the season in the English
Yes,
Premier League.
yes,
They won a few games that people have said, okay, they're gonna lose this game, and they go out and win 3-0, or they go out and tie it 3-3. It's a team that had a good coach, has a good coaching team still, even though their coach went over to Chelsea. It's a team that's well established, and again, this youngster Estupinan is definitely going to be someone who has that experience, who has that conditioning, and again, he's been with Ecuador for 28 appearances. He does have 3 goals. He's only a defender, but again, to be a defender and have 3 goals says a lot. You know, he's when it comes to corners, when it comes to like the ball, like when they're playing from free kicks, and he's there at the right time, at the right moment to score the goal. You know, header or to assist with any goals.
yeah. He I always say that back in the day when the Brazilian teams had Roberto Carlos, right? Number 6, Roberto Carlos, defender, kind of playing up and down corners. That's the kind of player every champion has, right? And you this kind of a player that you want to have on your team. And he fits that mold. He fits that mold. He's kind of that guy where you kind of you put him in that position to do those things up and down midfielder. He scored 3 goals as a defender. A lot of defenders don't do that. at all. If they have one goal, it's a lot, right? So three, it goes to show you where what kind of tactic he plays, and certainly a very dangerous component to have. And he's another guy that I would just mark my star next to, and once again showcase his talent, especially against those that number 11 in Qatar.
Right. With the next player, the story, goes back to 2014, where he was called up for the World Cup. Due to injury, he couldn't play for the World Cup in 2014. This is Angel Mena, our midfielder at 34 years of age. Again, our veteran. He's experienced. He had that heartbreak, to be called up and then to be injured. Which honestly, there's a few players right now who are going through that, right? Who are going
Right.
through being ruled out of the World Cup. They were called up and now they can't play because of injury.
Injury, yeah. Speaking with Qatar, and the whole, they had stopped all their seasons, and to get into this tournament, it's unconventional. Usually, the tournaments played in the summer, but because it's in Qatar, so a lot of individuals I've been speaking with, very concerned about injuries and not playing, or so that's something also to look out for. I mean, I know he has an injury history. Hopefully it's unfortunate that they got there and kind of had no time to kind of relax, kind of, uh, you know, kind of relax your body, especially trips like that. It could be a little misleading, but they're athletes, so hopefully they're in the right programs, and um, you don't want to see anyone get hurt. You want these games to, you want to play a full strength everybody. That way, there's no excuses, right? But hopefully he can stay healthy. He's very important. Again, when you kind of run that kind of attack that Ecuador does, playing on the sides and with the defense, he's very important to kind of shift the ball away for scoring. So I not too concerned, but of course, what concerns me is just the way the schedule just unfortunately worked out, and that's something that's something that our coach has to realize. You got to keep guys fresh, in and out, in and out,
Rotate,
and
rotate.
yeah, rotate, especially in the beginning here, especially in game one. So um, I do expect that. I do expect that.
So then lastly, we're introducing the player Gonzalo Plata. He's a forward at 22 years of age with 30 appearances and 5 goals. Again, a youngster with potential and talent. He's been called up and he's ready. He plays for a Spanish team, Real Valladolid. Maybe I butchered that a little bit, but he does play in a top league in Spain with a team that is also usually in the top 10.
Right. You said he is 22, correct?
22
He
years.
just turned 22, right? He just turned 22. The reason why I remember him, I think if I'm not mistaken, his birthday is November 1st. My mother's is November 2nd. He's also from the same town that my mom's from. Uh,
Small
think
world.
number nine. Yeah, I think number 19, if I'm not mistaken.
Number 19. Yep.
Yeah, number 19. So he's my guy. He's the guy I read about. A little selfish on my part because he's from my town, my mother's town. But um, I root for that. I root for guys like that. He's one of those guys where he can showcase his talent here. And this is the stage for him. I hope he starts. And I think they would be wise to start him, in my opinion.
Especially
I
in the
think,
game on Sunday. If he's healthy,
yeah, I think,
go ahead, start.
yeah. And this is a young man's game. 22 years old. You got this guy. He's pretty talented. I would say they would need to start him, and I think that would at least get the motor running here. I
I
know a
actually
lot
have
of
to
teams.
check have to check when they released the starting lineups. I haven't really released them yet, I
I
believe.
don't think so, not yet. I think it's a little early. Obviously, it's way. I mean, even though we're a little under 48 hours, it's still a
Right.
little early. Yeah, I can't believe it. And like I said, we got a little cheated this summer. Usually by this time we were talking about it, right?
Talking about it.
Heartbreak usually,
Heartbreak.
heartbreak usually. But for sure, he's someone that I would definitely keep an eye on. Just like James Rodriguez back in 2014,
Yeah.
someone like this could kind of reshape the whole tournament. And like I said, selfishly, he's my mom's town, so but still, he
Hello. think you're muted.
I lost you there for 2 seconds.
All right, here we are. Technical difficulties. Yeah, no, but this game is going to be the opening game. It's definitely going to be interesting. There's speculation that Qatar is trying to bribe Ecuadorian players to win the game. But like we all know, there's that football mafia that's it's just unspoken at this point. We just want to enjoy the game. Sports mafia is there whether we like it or not. As long hopefully the game stay as authentic as possible and they're as organic as possible. And players aren't like having like negotiations under the table for an end result.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, I know that is the consensus, but I like to think that it's not. So I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with the premise that it's not, and
That
we're all
is
playing the
not
game's fair,
definitely
right? And it's not what we think, or what we predict.
the
But that is,
conspiracies.
yeah, the conspiracy theories, right? But
Right.
let's just go out there and let the best team win.
And let's just go over like the previous game with Ecuador and Qatar back in 2018, right? With the 4-3 end result,
Oh
Qatar
yeah.
winning that game. So if any predictions, I feel like you said, with Ecuador winning or tying, that's definitely one of the top predictions. And definitely maybe over 2.5 goals at least, for that
Yeah,
game.
I do believe both teams aren't great defensively overall. So you could see a similar game. Um, you could see a similar game of 4-3, 3-2 kind of thing. That's definitely in the cards. Will it happen? That's the question. I think if the young forwards on either side get going early, you can definitely see that. If not, it's going to be a one of those games where we're kind of filling each other out. Nobody wants to get the best of each other, and moves forward. Now, thankfully, it's game one, right, of the group stage, so it's not do or die, right? It's not do or die yet. So it's something we can definitely build on either way. Either way.
With Ecuador's next game, they would want to win, facing Netherlands in the next
in
in
the
the
next game. Yeah, you're right about that. Once again, I think the if Ecuador does win this game against Qatar, I honestly think that they'll give Netherlands. I think it'll speed them up, and I do believe at this time around we might not beat the Netherlands, but we could definitely tie. But I don't want to get ahead of it. Of course, I don't want to get ahead of the game here, but there's certainly this is a touch for Ecuador. I think more importantly, even though Qatar is the host, I think for Ecuador it's a table setter. Why else would Qatar, if that was the case with the mafia here, why else would they play the Ecuadorian players?
exactly. Exactly. And no, again, it's an honor. It's an honor to be that team that's opening with the host team. And again, I really hope that the talent is showcased. That it's an exciting game filled with goals, filled with excitement. And again, may the best team win. May the team that performs the best win. Of course, I'm rooting for Ecuador as an Ecuadorian.
Yeah.
Full support. But like with the jersey you are wearing, my favorite to win the World Cup is Argentina.
Yeah, Ruben, we talked about it off air, and yeah, that when as the podcast gets deeper and closer, we'll definitely chat about Argentina. But for sure, I've been waiting for a long time, and that squad is definitely prepared. I think, in my opinion, to win this tournament, there's no question. I know that I saw the odds where they were third. I think if I'm not mistaken, Brazil being favorite.
Brazil being
Yeah,
favorites.
Brazil being favorite, but honestly, I think that this team, this team, just like they won the Copa America, is destined to because they want to win it for Messi, and they play with Messi, unlike the previous teams who were good, who were talented, no question, some of the best players I've ever seen. But this team is definitely can win, and at least should make it at least very far, if not the final. And I definitely hope for Messi himself, just for the game itself. This game is a beautiful game, one of the best, most popular, beautiful games ever in the world, right? It's always been that way. And I think that there was no question. And for the game itself, someone like Messi should win the World Cup. I think it's a good precedent for the sport, when someone like Messi wins a World Cup.
Definitely.
So
And that's definitely all the time we have for today. And again, we wish both teams a good start and a good game. Tune in to watch the game. I believe here the Eastern time is at 11 on Sunday. Is that correct?
that is correct. 11 a.m.
Thank you,
So
Christian, for joining us, and we hope to have you again for the next podcast. And we're gonna go through Group A, but the first game again. Um, my favorite is Ecuador or Thai, and I think yours is as well, right? You agree with that?
I'm gonna go on a limb here, and I'm gonna say Ecuador 1-0.
I like that. I
I'm
like
gonna
that.
say Ecuador 1-0, set the table. Um, that's just my hunch.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for tuning in and watching us. Thank you for watching us. This is the Winter Wonder Cup. Thank you, Christian. Have a
All right,
good
Ruben,
one.
take care. Thanks for having me.